Greetings, survivors. Let's talk about house trees. A lot of people think that trees are less stable as construction blocks, that they can carry less load. And therefore, they suggest all sorts of different ways of increasing the load on a tree. Now, how much structural stability does a tree really have? Well, there is an easy way to check that out. Let's look at some trees. So let's say the mountain pine dry, which is one of my favorites to build on because it doesn't have a lot of leaves and stuff like that. So let's grab the mountain pine tree and let's look at what it has. Oh, max load 40, mass 5. That happens to be the same thing as the wood frame. And for that matter, the wood block, which is what the wood frame upgrades to. So as it happens, trees actually have, let me undo this, actually have the same structural integrity as wood, which is kind of not surprising given that they are wood. Now, what happens then that people try to build house trees on trees and they fall all over? So let's make it a very short house tree here, just one block. Um, just one block high. Well, that's good enough. Okay, but we need a little more room to grow. You know what? Let's get rid of all these wood frames. Let's use something more stable. Let's use our wood blocks. Well, it's not more stable, but I don't know. I prefer its opacity. Okay, now we have a decent tree platform. We have a 5 by 5. It's not very large, but I guess it's good enough. Let's make an entrance here. Yeah, okay, good enough. So let's start building a wall, because after all, if it doesn't have a wall, it's not a wood tree. Oh, okay, that didn't work so well. So maybe trees don't have as much structural integrity as wood blocks after all? Well, let's see if it did the same thing using the wood frames. So we start with a single wood frame. And then we make a 3 by 3. Okay. And now, of course, we are going to want a wall. So we have to expand that 3 by 3 into something larger. Okay, now it's 5 by 5. And now we start putting down our walls. Okay, that resulted in the same result. So the problem with the trees is not that they have less structural integrity than wood. They have the same structural integrity. The problem is that people rely on one tree to make their tree houses. And no one does any base standing on top of a single wood pillar. No, you do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 7 by 7, for instance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, let's do 5 by 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and now 1, 2, 3, and here. So if I try building on 4 pillars, the very same style of house. So we have here our 5 by 5 on 4 pillars. And now we start putting down our walls. Well, so far so good. So unsurprisingly, this works. It has 4 pillars instead of just 1. So that means I can have 4 times as many wood blocks as I had before. And one more thing here. On both the tree and this, we have the pillar in the center, whereas here we have the pillars in the corners. Now that's a big difference. Let's put down another tree. After all, they grow pretty fast, right? And now let's go back to do something here. So let's do this one. Now 40 by 5, that means I can put 8 blocks on each side of the tree. And with 2 sides, I can put 16 blocks. Now a 5 by 5 is 25. A 4 by 4 is 16. So if I place here a 1, 2, 3, so with the 3 is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I put a wall here. Okay. So with just one side, this is all the tree can handle. Okay, this is as much as it will go. Let's put an entrance here, right beside the tree. And here's the thing with having pillars on the corner. Now, this is as much as the tree will handle. If I put like 2 more blocks, because the tree itself doesn't count, so there are actually 15 blocks here. So if I were to put 2 more blocks, everything will collapse. In fact, let's collapse it. Let's collapse it. Yeah, 1, 2. Yeah. Okay. So let's do the same thing here on this side and see what's the big difference is of having the stuff on the corner. Let's get our entrance again. Yeah, it's good enough. Okay, so remember, 2 more blocks, the whole thing will collapse. So let's start to put our walls. So 3, 4. Interesting. Oh, that's interesting one, isn't it? Let's fly a little bit here just to get to the top. For now, we do want to close the roof on our treehouse, don't we? Yeah. There we go. We have a treehouse. I mean, it's not that high on the tree, but no one asked for the treehouse to be high. Just want to be on the tree, and it has walls and it has a roof. So, what's the big difference here? Well, because the tree is in the corner, every block, every level of the walls are being supported by the tree. So it's not just these 2 sides here that are supporting. these two sides are also supporting, and these two sides, and these two sides. So in fact, because only the floor and the ceiling are fully filled, I actually have even more support than I had before. Because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 blocks of extra support given by um, the other sides of the trees. These two sides here. In fact, let's add 10 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There, 10 blocks. Well, actually 10 blocks, so it's 8 here. Yeah, 10 blocks here. And remember, it was 2 blocks more for the tree to collapse. So 1 block could be added. And we have here 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 blocks because each side will have 2, can add 1 more block. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There. So that's a big trick in building tree houses. You have to take advantage of the tree as corners. If you don't use the tree as a corner, then you're basically giving up a lot of structural integrity. So this is one trick of building with trees. Now let's consider another trick, which is something people commonly do. Let's plant our new tree here. After all, they grow pretty fast. There it is. And let's build it a little bit higher this time. And 1, 2, and let's make it. Yeah, let's make the tree like this. So we are using the 4 sides, which is what we did before. And because each side adds 8 blocks, that means I can support a total of 32. So this is 3 by 3, so 9 blocks minus 1 for the 3. We have 8 so far. So 9, 10, 11. Well, let's view everything actually. I'll make it 5 by 5. 25 minus 1 for the 3. We are at 24 blocks. I can add 8 more blocks before it will collapse. Now, what people usually do is put a block below. And that works because each of these blocks below, and I'm using the support block, but that's just for looks. It's not, it doesn't have any special property. Any block will do. Okay. Let's now get up on the tree. So each of these blocks are adding more support. So it's going to be for my sides, so 32, but these blocks themselves are being supported. That brings us up to down to 28. So 5 by 5, 3, 4, 5, 25 minus 3, 24. And I can get up to 32. So 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. And this is where the house would usually collapse. But the supports on all 4 sides below are adding 28 more blocks. So this will not collapse. We can put blocks all the way around. And we have here on 4 sides, each side is 5 blocks wide. So We have 16 blocks total. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So without the door, 15, and we can add up to 24. That means that if I add a second wall here, well, we had on the original ground we had 8 blocks spare, and with the blocks below we have 28 more. So 28 plus 8, that's 36. So if we add 15 blocks each, it should be we should have enough support. So that's 30 more blocks. 30 more blocks. And we still have 6 blocks spare. That means we cannot add another level here. We can put a roof, but it will have to be pretty low roof, just 2 blocks. Just 2 blocks on each side. Now this roof, because it's supported by the tree, can have as many as can support can have as many blocks as the floor will should have. So I can place it all the way around. Okay, that works, but if I try to make it 3 high, it would not work. So despite using these supports, I really cannot do much more. And if you compare it here with these 3, where I'm using it as at the side of the house, you can see I can actually do a lot more. So that's really the trick for making tree houses. You gotta make the tree part of the walls so that each level of the wall will have full support. Now it doesn't mean you cannot use the other sides. Of course you can use. So if I start building on the side, I can do as much as I did here. And maybe I have a doorway here from one to the other. But remember, the doorway might interrupt the flow of the wall. So be careful that the doorway is not beside the tree so that you still have full support here. Now, as a last trick here, I'm going to show stability. So you can see here as it gets lighter, the green gets lighter. That means I have less stability. Right beside the tree, pretty good. Further on, not so good. The house with 4 pillars, it's pretty much solid, solid color. See, it barely dips and then increases again. And this tree is pretty good as well. Anyway, these are 3 houses. And the best thing you really can do is just to place the trees, plant the trees just like you place the pillars on your base. And that way you can have walls supported all the way to the top, and you can have much larger spans of bases. Now, as a final inquiry here, okay, so that tree is not, it's all well to ask for a tree to use 4 trees, plant them, and to use corners as your base. But you cannot plant that tree. These trees without nice trees without leaves, despite the fact that they have some pretty gnarly branches, you cannot actually plant them. So let's look at the trees that you can plant. So the planted trees. We have the mountain pine, and it starts at 6, then go to 8, 13, 16, and finally 19 blocks. And we can plant apple as well. So 6, 13, 15, 17. 3 planted maple, 3 planted, oh, that's another complete, another. So the pines go up to 19 meters high and the maples go to 17. Finally, the juniper. Well, not the juniper, but the blue something. 6, 13, 16, 19, and the plus. I'm not sure what's the +3 thing. Maybe if you have the terrain tiled. Why is it not letting me plant this tree here? Should be a 1, 2, 3, 4. Should be able to be planted here. What is this tree? The tree planted pine. Tree planted mountain pine 19. That's curious. Yeah, this one works. We want 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's some issue with the pine. Let's get the pine, mountain pine. So we have the map of 17, the winter at 19. This one at 16. Yeah, this one works. This one for some reason is not being planted. So these are the trees available to us. They do have a lot of branches. Now, the main advantage of the pine over the maple is that the tree is more straight. That makes it easier to place the blocks here. So you see, let me slow down here a little bit. So these are beside the tree, and you can look at the color. Okay, that's still being supported by the tree, but it gets difficult to go any higher. You can see the tree here. Whereas on this, nothing on the maple. The pine still goes on and on and on. And same thing for this tree here. Not as easy, not as high. Yeah, I cannot go any higher on this tree here. It's not allowing me to. So if you want to build high, you see that the maple tree has very little, you cannot go much, you cannot go high on the maple tree. It only goes so far, only goes about here, which is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 meters high. Now on this tree here, you can perhaps get something a little bit higher. But targeting is difficult. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's a lot of trouble. Where is my block? I lost it here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Is that it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 here, 11, 12. So we got up to 12 meters here. And as for the pine, well, that pine is 16. I don't know. Let's do this another way. So I'm not flying anymore. I'm at 43 meters. And if I go back to the ground, I'm at 60 meters. So 43 minus 16, that's 33, 27, 27. So with the pine tree, I can start a tree house at 27 meters high, which is pretty impressive. It's slightly difficult to place the blocks. Am I getting support on all sides? Let's see if I can go up to 5 by 5. Yeah, 5 on this side, 5 on this side. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting support from all blocks and at 27 meters high. And at this point, I don't have much more tree to... there isn't much tree left. So this will be the ceiling, and you can go down here. You can make, I don't know, many floors. So that's it for our treehouse episode. I hope this is useful to you and I hope you enjoyed and thank you for watching.